was an interesting session that we had today, Bruno. What do you think?
It has been a wonderful session, really.
So, if we think about it, you know, what did we learn about emotions today?
Wow. The first thing that comes to mind is that sometimes we tend to avoid some emotions that we label as negative emotions. You know, anger and fear, for instance. Who wants to experience anger and fear? But you know what? If you avoid those emotions, you're losing the value of their information, because the main learning from emotional intelligence is that emotions are like codes. They are informations. They bring us a lot of informations. For instance, anger tells you what is the obstacle between you and a goal that is important to you. And fear tells you what is the danger to your safety. So, you know, if you avoid those emotions, you miss a lot of information. And you can leverage these emotions and this information, because once that you understand what is the obstacle that is coming on your way, okay, you can shift your focus from the obstacle to the goal. And you can think, here is my goal. How can I achieve my goal regardless these obstacles? This shifts your mood from anger to joy to achieve your goal. And another example is fear. The fear of something that is dangerous. There is something that you are frightened of. But if you use this information, you can shift it into a positive goal. For instance, I'm afraid to attend a meeting because I'm not prepared. So this is the danger. Your goal could be, how can I be prepared for that meeting? So, as you can see, emotions can be leveraged to shift your mood. And something else that we tend to avoid is dealing with challenging people. This is one important topic that stood out in this session. And Chenna, would you like to share something about how emotional intelligence can help us to deal in an effective way with challenging people?
Yeah, Bruno. And what was very interesting was that when the challenge was put up by one of the participants, you could hear everybody nodding their head. So it seems to be a universal challenge. And I think some very interesting observations that came up and some strategies, emotional intelligence strategies that came up was that, everybody comes from their own personal values. And sometimes if our value system of our value pyramid is different than the value pyramid of another person, because you could be stacking something as your highest value and they may be stacking something else as their highest value, then you do not resonate with the behavior that they exhibit externally. And when it doesn't resonate with us, then we feel our space, our emotional space being violated, and we feel conflict with the thinking, the behavior of the others. And when this doesn't resonate, it becomes very difficult to work with people like these. And this is primarily what people were calling as challenging people. And some emotional strategies that we learned, some emotionally intelligence strategies that we learned to deal with these kind of people was one, bringing curiosity, trying to understand what values I hold in my value pyramid, Okay, so that's self-awareness, and that can happen only through curiosity, understanding what values does the other person hold sacrosanct in their value pyramid. So first of all, the first strategy that came up was being curious. Because the moment you are curious, it is very difficult to look at another person as a challenge. Then you start looking at that person as a learning opportunity. The second thing that came up was, forgiving them for violating our values, for making the atmosphere not so resonant for everyone. So I think that is the second thing that came up. We shared one strategy for that. And the third thing is to be able to understand the values of others. Because when we understand where they come from, what they hold within themselves, then it becomes very easy for us to relate to them and to understand them and to be able to look at their external manifestation of behavior with, kinder eyes. And what was very beautiful was your sharing of just like me mindfulness practice. And as we went through it, the kind of comments we got from all the participants, and in fact the person who had posed the challenge after the practice actually shared that they were feeling more empathetic towards the other person. So what we learned primarily was that the shift doesn't happen in anyone else but yourself. So such practices really support us. So I think it was a great learning. And what is also very interesting, Bruno, is that when we asked people for their takeaways, people spoke about having more expectations. So a lot of people who came with curiosity are now having expectations. So it's becoming a more and more interesting conversation which has a lot of depth. So this is an amazing empty space that's getting filled in with some very powerful conversations. So thank you for that.
Oh, I thank you for that space too. Your collaboration is making the difference because your humanity, you are so smart with emotional intelligence. And you know what? I'm learning that emotional intelligence is something that is present in every human activity. Because there is no human activity in which self-awareness, empathy, adaptability, positive outlook are not essential for getting a good outcome. So maybe this is why a lot of people are thinking about a lot of expectation from these sessions that we are hosting. So I look forward to it next week on Friday for the third session.
I look forward to it too, Bruno, and let's paint the rainbow once more.
Yes, let's paint the rainbow.